Before we dive in, I want to invite you to join my free community for mom entrepreneurs called the Momentum Hub. It's a calm, supportive space with weekly resets, simple guidance, and real momentum without hustle or burnout. You can join for free by going to momsmakemoneycollective.com/hub. Once again, that's momsmakemoneycollective.com/hub. I'll also make sure to have the link to join in the show notes so you can join that way as well. All right, let's get into the episode. Every September, mom entrepreneurs tell themselves the same lie. They say, I just need to get more disciplined, or I need a better routine. I need to work harder in Q4 to just make up for the summer. And I'm here to tell you today that that is the wrong diagnosis entirely. Feeling behind in September is not a you problem, it's a structure problem. And a structure problem has a structure solution. So if you're ready to stop blaming yourself and start actually fixing the thing, you're in the right place. Let's talk about it. Welcome to the Sustainable CEO Mom Podcast, the show for service-based moms who are done with hustle culture and ready to build profitable businesses that actually fit their lives. I'm Jenny Sunnison, business strategist, podcast mentor, and the founder of Moms Make Money Collective. Let's build something sustainable. Hey, and welcome back to the Sustainable CEO Mom Podcast. I'm your host, Jenny Sunnison, and if you're listening and you are already low-key dreading what September is about to do to your schedule, then this episode is for you. Because I want to talk about something that I see happening every single year in the mom community, and something that used to happen to me too. Every September, mom entrepreneurs feel behind. Not a little behind, like fully, completely, where did my business go type of behind. And here's the thing that I need you to hear right up front. Before we get into anything else today, it has absolutely nothing to do with your own productivity. It's not because you're lazy. It's also not because you lost motivation over the summer. And it's not because you need a better planner or a prettier morning routine or another course on time management. The real reason that you feel behind every September is a structural problem, and structural problems require structural solutions, not mindset shifts, and definitely not more hustle. So today I'm going to break down exactly why September hit so hard, share a story from my own life that I think is going to feel very familiar, and then give you the first and most important thing that you need to do to actually fix it. So let's get into it. And at the end, I'm also going to tell you about the CEO Mom Fall Reset because I want to help you go into the rest of this year with a plan that is built for your real life. So yeah, let's get into the episode. So first, I want to just name what is actually happening in September, because I think a lot of us spend way too much energy blaming ourselves for something that was never actually our fault. September is a transition month, and transitions are hard, honestly, full stop. But for mom entrepreneurs specifically, September is not just a transition, it's a collision. You've got back to school, which is its own whole emotional and logistical event. You've got new schedules, new routines, new drop-off and pickup times, and after-school activities that require you to be in 3 places at once. You've got kids who are adjusting, which means you've got kids who are emotional and exhausted and probably coming home every single day, ready to fall apart right at the exact moment you were hoping to get your best work done. And on top of all that, your business didn't pause for the summer. The world kept on moving, your inbox kept on filling up, and your audience kept growing, or maybe not growing. And now you're standing in September trying to pick up where you left off, except you can't fully remember where that was because the last few months, well, they've been a season of survival. And that is not a productivity problem. That is a capacity problem. And it was set up by a structure or lack of structure that didn't account for the reality of your life. So here's the pattern that I see most often. Mom entrepreneurs spend Q1 and Q2 building momentum. They've got a rhythm, their content is flowing, their offers are converting, things are clicking, and then summer hits and the schedule blows up and capacity shrinks and they get through it, but they're running on fumes by the end of August. And then September comes. And then everyone around them is talking about fresh starts and fall launches and Q4 planning. And they're standing there thinking, I'm not ready for any of this. I'm tired. My systems fell apart. I don't even know what I was working on 3 months ago. And because we live in a culture that loves to moralize productivity, the story that we tell ourselves is, I failed. I fell behind. Something's wrong with me. But that's not the truth. The truth is, no one built you a bridge between summer and fall. No one helped you design a business that could handle the seasonal reality of mom life. And so every single year you hit September like it's a wall because structurally it is. So I want to get personal here for a minute because I think this is going to land differently than me just talking theory at you. So last year when my son started kindergarten, I thought that I was prepared. Honestly, I really did. I'd been running my business for a while at that point. This year is my 10th year in business. So I knew what I was doing. I had a plan. I had content scheduled. I had a launch on the calendar for September, and I was actually really excited about it. And then kindergarten actually started, and I was not prepared, not even a little bit. I didn't account for the emotional weight of it. I didn't account for how much that transition would take out of me as a mom. The mix of pride and grief and worry and excitement all at once. Watching this tiny human walk into this big new world for the first time. And I also didn't account for the fact that he would come home exhausted and overwhelmed and need me in a way that I hadn't planned for. I didn't account for the new pickup time, the new routine, and the way the entire rhythm of our household just completely shifted overnight. My September launch happened, but it was rough. I was stretched pretty thin. I wasn't showing up the way I wanted to. And I was tired in a way that wasn't just physical. But it was that deep, bone level emotional tired that comes from navigating a major life transition while also trying to run a business as a mom. And I remember sitting there thinking, why does it feel like I'm failing? I have systems. I have a plan. Like, what is happening? What's wrong with me? But what was happening was that I had built a business plan that didn't account for mom life. I built the version of September that I had imagined, not the one that actually showed up at my door. And that is the lesson. That is the whole thing right there. I just want you to know you cannot build a sustainable business on a plan that ignores the reality of your life. You have to build for the life that you actually have, not the life that you wish you had, not the life you had before kids, not some imaginary version of yourself with unlimited time and zero emotional load. That experience is a big part of what shaped how I think about sustainable business building for moms. Because I realized that sustainable growth doesn't come from working harder during the easy seasons and white knuckling through the hard ones. It ultimately comes from building a business that is designed on purpose, structurally, to flex with your life. So let me give you something that is really practical right now, because I don't want to just diagnose the problem and then leave you sitting with it. I want to give you a way forward. And the way forward, especially in September, especially when you're in the middle of a transition, especially when you already feel behind, starts with just one word: stabilize. So before you plan, before you launch, before you batch content, or before you map out queue or try to make up for launch or try to make up for lost time, you have to stabilize first. And here's what I mean by that. When you're in a season of transition, the worst thing you can do is try to build while the ground is still shaking. And that's exactly what most mom entrepreneurs try to do in September. They feel behind, so they try to sprint. They pile on more tasks, more goals, more content, more offers. And then they wonder why they feel even more overwhelmed 2 weeks in. Trying to scale when you're not stabilized is like trying to build a second floor on a house with a cracked foundation. It doesn't matter how good your plans are. The structure underneath cannot support it. So you have to stabilize first. And stabilizing looks like 3 specific things. The first thing is getting honest about your actual capacity right now. Not your ideal capacity, not your summer capacity, not your January full force capacity. Your capacity right now, this week, given what's actually on your plate. I want you to think about this honestly. How many hours a week can you realistically give to your business when school starts? Right now, accounting for the new school schedule, the transition energy that you're spending, the mental load you're carrying, not how many hours you wish you had, but how many hours you actually do have. So for a lot of moms in September, that number is a lot lower than they want it to be, and that's okay. That's real. You cannot build a plan that works if you're building it around a capacity that doesn't even exist. Then the second thing is identifying your non-negotiables. So what does your business absolutely need from you right now to stay healthy? Not everything on your list, not the Q4 plan and the new offer and the content calendar and the email sequence, but the non-negotiables. Usually it's 2 or 3 things: revenue generating activity, core client delivery, and maybe one consistent piece of content so that your audience knows that you're still alive and still showing up. That's it. Everything else, and I mean absolutely everything else, gets put on a list for later when you're stabilized. Not deleted or abandoned, just moved to later when you actually have the capacity to execute on it well. And the third thing is giving yourself permission to stabilize without guilt. This is the hardest one for most of us because we've been conditioned to believe that slowing down means falling further behind, that taking a breath means losing ground, that if we're not sprinting, someone else is getting ahead. But here's what I know to be true after years of building a business in the margins of mom life. When you try to run at full speed during transition, you don't just slow down, you crash. And a crash costs way more time than a stabilization ever would. Stabilizing is not giving up. Stabilizing is strategy. It's how you set yourself up to actually build momentum in October and November instead of spending those months recovering from the September burnout. So if you're listening to this and you're about to be in that September chaos right now, I am giving you full permission to stabilize and to get honest about what you actually have capacity for, to protect your non-negotiables and let everything else wait, and to stop trying to sprint before you found your footing. That is not falling behind. That is building a sustainable business. So I want to zoom out for just a second before I close because there is something important that I want to name. What I've just walked you through, aka stabilizing first, that's not just a September tactic. It's part of a bigger framework that I use in my own business and that I teach to mom entrepreneurs that I work with. Because the September struggle isn't just a September problem. It is a symptom of building a business that wasn't designed for the full picture of your life. All the seasons, all the transitions, and all the moments when mom life collides with CEO life. There is a better way to build, and it starts with understanding that sustainable business growth for moms requires a completely different approach than what most business advice out there is teaching. I'm going to be sharing more about that framework and how to apply it in the coming months. So if you're not already on my email list, I highly recommend you get on it and keep listening to this podcast because those 2 places are where I share the good stuff first. So to get on my email list, head to momsmakemoneycollective.com/blueprint to grab my 20-hour workweek blueprint and easily get on my email list. And speaking of support, I want to tell you about the CEO Mom Fall Reset because this is exactly where we go deeper on everything that I talked about today. The Fall Reset is designed specifically for mom entrepreneurs who are heading into Q4 and want to do it differently this time around. No more white knuckling through October and November. No more white knuckling through October and November. No more building a Q4 plan that falls apart by the second week because it wasn't built for your actual life. We're going to be starting exactly where I told you to start today, with stabilization, getting honest about capacity, identifying your non-negotiables, and then building a Q4 plan from that honest, grounded place instead of a place of panic and guilt and trying to make up for lost time. You can learn more about the Fall Reset program by going to the link in the show notes. This is a thing that is going to make Q4 feel different. I promise you that. All right, so let me bring this home because I know you're probably listening to this while you're doing approximately 12 other things. So here's what I need you to walk away with today. The reason that you feel behind every September has nothing to do with your productivity. It is a structural problem created by a life transition that your business wasn't designed to absorb. And the first fix, and the most important fix, is to stabilize before you do anything else. Get honest about your actual capacity, protect your non-negotiables, and give yourself permission to let everything else wait. And stop trying to sprint before the ground has stopped shaking. You're not behind. You're a mom building something real in the margins on purpose. And that is genuinely something to be proud of. All right, that's it for this episode. I'll see you next Wednesday. And until then, go build something great in whatever margins that you have today. If this episode resonated with you, share it with another service-based mom who's building something real. And when you're ready to move from reactive business ownership to sustainable CEO leadership, your next step is waiting for you. You'll find the right path, whether that's the accelerator, the collective, or a deeper intensive, by going to momsmakemoneycollective.com. You're not just building a business, you're building it your way sustainably, with profit, with margin, and with intention. Because hustle is optional, leadership isn't. I'll see you next week.